What's going on, AMG? Here we are, day 5, and we have come a long way in a short time. All right, we are growing in our skill. We're growing in our success habits to expand our networks daily. We've got some very practical things we could do, principle-based things we could do. And so today, I've pulled some training from somebody who's incredibly successful that I want to share with you guys. His name's Ed Milet. Some of you probably follow him already on social media platforms, his podcast, etc. All right. And Ed is really big on mindset, which you guys know I'm really big on mindset. And so, if you join our Tuesday night expansion calls, you understand it's all mindset. It's mindset, because mindset is the foundation. It's the predecessor of every action. Your thoughts become things through massive action. Not hoping, wishing, and praying, but by taking action and getting things done and setting and establishing targets and working towards them incrementally until they are accomplished. Okay? So, progress, moving forward, it's how thoughts become things. So it starts with your mindset. So today we're going to talk about mindset. And, just before I get into Ed's, kind of training, I want to say, what we're looking for is a major shift in your thought process. I'm confident we'll see that. Okay, we're not just recruiters. Okay, we're not recruiters. We are recruiting, but we are not recruiters. All right, as much as we are. Okay, so if you want to say I'm a recruiter, well, I want you to shift your thought process to I'm not just a recruiter, but I'm someone with a solution. Okay, I'm someone who solves problems for people. I help them expand in life. I help them grow. I add value. And so, we're showing people how to move forward, how to progress, how to advance, how to attain to the things that burn within them, the desires of their heart. We are helping them figure these things out by creating strategic partnerships. We're looking for people who want to work with us, partner with us, expand and grow, and accomplish things together. In that context of a relationship, we're looking to build a dynasty. Okay, so we are not looking to go get people as much as we are looking to serve people. We're looking to serve people. The greatest among you will be a servant of all. Okay, we're looking to serve people. So our goal really isn't to get people, but our goal is to expose what we're doing to people. Our goal is to educate people. All right, we take people, this is it, couch this context. We're taking people from not knowing that this exists to knowing that it exists. All right, so that they can make that informed decision, so that they could choose to do what they believe is best for them based on that information. All right, understanding that they can grow in life and business with us. Right, so we have a gift to share. Okay, the gift that we have to share is a dynamic community, is a phenomenal track record of success stories and lives change in an industry that's unbelievable. Okay, that produces the highest paid professionals. I mean, we can literally give people the opportunity, share this gift of $100,000 a year income to, we've got people pushing $750,000 income on just personal production alone. But then you put the business in the context, and you can grow and expand and build a business. Now we're talking $250,000 a year. We're talking, multi-millions of dollars a year. We're talking integrity, wanting to buy your business, and you stay on as the CEO, and you keep pushing and hitting targets and getting massive bonuses. But we're talking 8-figure deals. Okay, there's so much opportunity. So we have this gift that we got to share with the world. We got to educate. Okay, we got to go out and find people who are open for information so they can make informed decisions. We got to educate. We got to go find these people, or we got to be found ourselves. But people need to know that we got a gift and we can change things for the better. We could be those meaningful specifics, those positive relationships that shifted their lives in a beautiful way. So with that being said, let's get into what Ed was teaching and the things that I want to share with you guys. I'm probably just going to read a lot of his notes, if that's okay. But Ed's talking. One of the things he started out with, he said, the business model that we're in, okay, recruiting and building. If you couple that with world-class products, which we have, from 100-plus-year-old A-rated multi-billion-dollar partners in these insurance companies, our multi-billion-dollar partners with integrity. All right, now you add technology to this. You understand that we could, through technology, have the ability to communicate in this context, and we can scale and expand and reach and engage with with such a wide audience that has never existed in any other time of history. I mean, there's literally limitless possibilities in terms of communication, scale, and reach because of what technology has afforded us. Okay, so we have income opportunities without massive overhead. The old brick and mortar concepts, people going in massive debt to start a business, guys, that's an old paradigm, and it's failing, and people are looking, okay, for something that they could do like what we have. People are looking, so we got to expose it to them. We got to break out of obscurity, and we got to be the ones who show them a better way. We got to be the ones who offer this help to them and educate them on what's possible. You can make $250,000 a year doing this business, personal production alone. You can make $1 million a year doing this business or beyond, building an organization. See, people are looking for something because, especially in the context of the chaos we just went through the last 2 years, the government getting involved, shutting down businesses, people's financial lives turned upside down because they've been told they can no longer operate. Guys, we still grew through all this nonsense because not only are we in a recession-proof industry, we're in a pandemic-proof industry. No matter what the scenario is, people, if they got a lot of money, they want to buy more insurance products. If they don't have a lot of money, they want to buy more insurance products because they know they need it. Okay, so recession-proof, and now we can add pandemic-proof. Okay, when you put all this in context, we are in a position to freaking explode. All right, so Ed is really big on mindset, as I am, like I said, and so I'm just going to share with you. I'm a risk looking ridiculous, but I just want to read this to you because I don't think I can communicate it much better than he himself did. Okay, so he's talking all about mindset. All right, mindset. So this is Ed Milet, just so we're crystal clear. All right, so Ed says, I want to talk to you today. I believe the number one thing that you've got to do is grow yourself. So I'm going to touch on that. I'm going to give you recruiting, and I'm going to give you building tips, but I want you to do for just a few minutes, right? And I'm going to, he talks about this thing he was working on, but I want to talk to you about recruiting. But before I do that, I want to say one thing is you have to grow. This might be more difficult to read his notes than I imagined, but we're gonna work through this together, guys. I'm not looking for perfect. I'm looking for content, and I'm looking for you guys to have access to what I believe can add value to your life. Okay, so Ed said, give me 1 second. All right, so you got to be focused on one thing. You have to grow. Okay, here's where I wanted to read. Your identity is the thoughts, concepts, and beliefs that you hold most true about yourself. That's what your identity is, okay? And I could give you the greatest business model. I can give you the greatest products, the greatest mentors, the greatest access to everything I possibly can. Let's say that I give you identities like this. Better said, identity is like a thermostat sitting on the wall, okay? So he's trying to communicate what identity is like. So he's going to leverage this in the context of a thermostat, okay? The thermostat on the wall. So he says, let's say this. Identity is like this, all right? It's like the thermostat sitting on your wall. It's 72 degrees right now. It's a thermostat setting. You know what controls the setting in this room? That thermostat. You know what controls the setting of your life? Your identity. Period. No outside conditions. And I'll prove it to you. If it's 100 degrees outside and hot air is starting to blow into this room, do you know what happens? This room doesn't become 100 degrees because I got a thermostat. The air conditioner kicks on and it cools this room right back down to where it's regulated to be set at. Also true, if it gets freezing air blown in here, the heater will turn on and it heats right back up to where we were set. That's how your life is. Your identity's the thermostat setting. The external conditions have absolutely no impact long-term on your life. None. But that thermostat setting has everything to do with it. And so here's what happens for many people. They are 72 degrees in terms of their identity, in terms of money or success or happiness. They get into a business that's capable of providing 80, 90, 100, 150, 200 degrees of all of these things, and they start to maybe gain traction. They start to maybe get it. And then the air conditioner turns on and it cools them right back down, and they get out of what they believe they're worth. They get out of the business what they believe they're worth. So when they start to see that they could go from 72 to 80, 90, 100, 150, when they see the opportunities there for them to increase, that regulator kicks back on, their identity kicks back in, and guess what? They cool right back down and they get out of what they believe they're worth and what they deserve. That's what happens over and over. It seems coincidental. Oh, my car broke down. Oh, a new recruit went to another company. Oh, marriage disappeared. So he's going to take a breather for a while. Okay? No, it's not coincidental. It's because if you had a high identity, you'd have already had 3 or 4 other recruits to replace that person, knowing that was possible. What it is you're putting the air conditioner on your life. Okay? You're not doing the things required of you to make sure that the things that do happen and will happen and always happen don't bring your temperature down. You're allowing for that temperature to come down because your thought process isn't where it need to be. Okay? So if you're going to get involved, and right, he says, if you're going to get involved, and many of you are, in business that could produce 150 degrees of wealth, abundance, happiness, bliss, whatever it might be, you had best start to work on your thermostat setting, because you'll never exceed this one. Does that make sense? That's why you got to work on yourself. He said, I'm going to brag for one moment. I'm the person on this planet that can help you with that. I love it. I love it when someone's confident. He says, I'm the person on this planet who could help you with that, because I'm a real world applier. I know what it's like to have had low self-esteem. I come from an alcoholic, dysfunctional family. I know what it's like to be insecure, shy. And in fact, I got into personal development and growing myself because I had to get a baseline level just to be average. Okay? Element in growing myself to be baseline level, sorry, I lost my place, just to be functioning average person at first, all right? And then I became addicted to these concepts. That's where I'm at in life. I'm addicted to these concepts. He says, I started to study it as if I were an athlete. So I understood visualization. I understood reticular activating systems in the brain. I understood these things. And God gave me the ability to articulate and communicate in a way that was pretty unique. I have like 3 or 4 gifts, and this is just one of them. See, Ed knows his strengths. He knows his limitations. He ain't trying to be somebody he's not, but he's trying to communicate. I made a sincere, committed effort to grow myself because this is something that I knew was required for me if I was going to achieve success. Okay? So he goes on, he says, I don't have a great background. I don't even have great discipline. But what I do have, and what I've worked on building and developed myself to that extent. And he says, my goal ultimately is, in doing all of this, working on myself, growing myself, is ultimately to inspire other people and help them change their thermostat setting. Okay, so how could you guys plug in? He says, follow me on social, follow me on YouTube, right? Make sure you engage with Ed Milet. All right. So this is something crazy, because when you understand someone like Ed, you understand this dude's net worth is pretty ridiculous. pretty freaking ridiculous. But he's doing what he's doing. He's serving, he's advancing his influence and his reach and his impact and his brand, because he really understands it's about making a difference in other people's lives, right? So, we gotta be of the same, we cut from the same cloth in that context, that we are aware of what we have in front of us and what we could offer to other people and how we could shift and bring value to other people. Ultimately, that's all we're looking to do is make a difference. We're having fun, making money, making a difference, as Andy Albright always says, okay? So here's the thing, mindset. So what is the mindset of a good recruiter? All right. A good recruiter. Here's what a good recruiter actually thinks. A good recruiter actually thinks they're convinced that everybody wants in. They just don't know it yet. That's what a recruiter, like a good recruiter, actually believes. Everybody wants in. They just don't know it yet. Right? Everybody wants in my business. They just don't know it. Like when you're prospecting people, right? You just look at them. You're sizing them up. You should be able to have this quiet confidence about yourself where you almost smirk and go, "Yeah, I know you want what I got. I know. You just don't know it yet." Right? It's a confidence. It's a conviction. It's clarity. Okay? So I know how much your life could change if you actually did this. I know how drastically things would be different for you if you actually did this. You just don't know it yet. Right? So that's the underlying belief system for a good recruiter. So the good recruiter believes that they want in. They just don't know it yet. But here's the thing. What do you have to believe? What do you have to believe? Why would they want in? Why would they want in? Right? And so here's a very simple way. Here's a very simple conviction, if I could put it in those terms. Something that's measurable, okay? Something that's measurable. You got to be convicted about something, because somebody's going to say, well, not everybody who gets in your business is going to make money. Okay. Yeah, that's life. It's just honest, right? We're not liars. Some people don't work. Some people don't work. So therefore, you don't get paid if you don't work. Well, I don't want to build a business if some people don't make money. Everybody don't make money. There's no such thing in the world where everybody makes money. It's a whosoever doeth business. And it's the way the whole entire world is structured. Add value, receive value. Give value, receive value. Put in time, energy, effort required of you, get the reward. Okay? But what's the one simple, constant, underlying conviction you can carry so that you can have this posture, attitude? It's like, I know you want in. You just don't know it yet. What's the one thing you can be guaranteed of? That maybe they don't make money, but what if they get in this business because of your efforts? What if all for just maybe a season or maybe a year, maybe a couple years, they get in and they don't ever make really any substantial amounts of money, but they grow themselves and they grow their marriage and they grow their relationships, or there's something positive or beneficial that happens. They come to a weekend meeting, they meet incredible people. Maybe they come to a meeting and meet who they end up marrying, right? Just there's so many benefits of being in a culture that encourages someone. Maybe they go to a meeting and they get a compliment and someone compliments them, and maybe they've been in a toxic environment for their whole lives that no one's ever given them a compliment. No one's ever said a kind word to them that really was authentic and sincere. Maybe it's just that one thing that shifts and transforms their thought process and takes them to a completely different place in life. See, you can carry that clarity. You can carry that conviction that it's a good thing for people to be around good people who are in pursuit of something. See, everybody wants that. Everybody wants to be a part of that. So everybody wants in, they just don't know it yet. We got to expose them to what we're doing. All right? So, not everybody is going to make $100,000 their first year. Not everybody's going to make $1 million. You got to be honest about it. But certainly we can understand, right? Our clarity, our conviction is our influence. okay? And so the most certain people influence the least certain people. Well, I'm pretty damn certain that I can change someone's life if they're willing to go and walk that journey with me. I'm convinced. There ain't a doubt in my mind. I know I could change someone's life. Why? Because I've done it. I've done it over and over and over and over and over and over again. For those who choose to come into an agreement with these things, their lives change. Those who didn't make an agreement and went a different way, I love them. God bless them. I wish them the best. And many of them found success, right, in other fields, in other areas. And I celebrate them. And they're still deep, significant relationships. And that's what it's about. Not everybody's cut out for this. I'm cool with that. But what I'm not okay with is me believing anything other than what I'm convicted of. That if someone wants to do this, I'm a change. I got the ability to point them in the direction, encourage them, steward that relationship, and help them go and accomplish everything they set out to. That much I'm confident in. All right. So it's these belief systems. All right. It's this belief systems. This certainty is the influence. And you got to get certain. You got to get clarity, conviction, and compassion. We got to help people. And you need to function from that place that you're on a noble pursuit to change people's lives. All right. So next thing. All right. Remember that we're always making people feel something. So be intentional about what they're feeling. Make them feel something about you, right? Like make them understand what you're attempting to communicate. Be effective in that nonverbal communication and how they respond to you, right? Worst thing you want is someone feeling something about you, right? They don't believe for their insecurities or whatever it is, right? They're not buying you, all right? Or, they're losing out or whatever the situation is, and they see you winning, right? Like, you have to be a version of someone that inspires within them that they could win with you. All right? And trying to read his notes, that might have been a little messed up in how I communicated that. If other people are not where they need to be in their thought process, you need to help them elevate their thought process through how you make them feel, so that they could start thinking accurately and you can help them win, help them reach their goals. All right. They just don't want to see you winning. They want to know, can I win too? Can I win too? This is that leadership. This is that relationship. We're building people up and we're helping them win. Right. Okay. All right. Here's something very powerful. He said, look, not everybody wins in this business, okay? Not everybody wins in this business, but we need to be those who help build up, who help create. But he said, did you know, right, that some of the biggest producers in the history of this industry were not recruited by people who are currently financially successful? I'm going to say it again. Did you know that some of the biggest producers this industry's ever created were not hired by people or recruited by people who were at that time successful? Meaning, right, the biggest people don't just come through the biggest people. The biggest people come through all of us. Because nobody knows who's going to be the biggest, who's going to be the rock star, if you would. We'll never know. That's why I started out with this challenge. I said, I don't know the value of one recruit for you. Could mean $10,000 a year. Could mean $100,000 a year for you. For some of you, it could be millions or a fortune, right? What if you hired Stephen Davies? What if you hired, Mike and Noel Levitovich? What if you had these people who produced millions and millions of dollars for you? You would never know. You would never know. All you got to do is be faithful to present with clarity, conviction, and compassion. Okay? So he says, a couple more things I want to give you on recruiting. All right? He says, all right, this is an example he gives. He goes, I'm going to talk about something that I'm not qualified to talk about because he's married. But he says, just imagine, all right? Imagine with me. He says, you have to separate the invitation from the presentation. You got to separate the invitation from the presentation. Too many of you are presenting as you are inviting. They are two different things. So let me give you an example. If I were single and I wanted to ask a woman, right? And he clarifies he's not single. He's married, met his wife in kindergarten, right? He said, if I were single, right? Here's what I want to do. If I wanted to ask you out on a date, I would have asked you out on a date. I wouldn't ask you to marry me when we first met. Many of you are convoluting the, do you want to go get a cup of coffee? And the, oh, by the way, do you want to win? Right? Do you have the ear to the ground for an opportunity? Are you the type of person looking for upward mobility? Are you looking to make additional cash flow? Would you like to help more people? All this crazy recruiting jargon nonsense, basically, right? Like we're just all these canned little one-liners, these prepared recruiting, scripts, okay? All right? We're confusing the date versus asking someone to marry us, okay? The date is the invitation, right? We can't go over and beyond and make it weird or make it awkward. I hope I'm communicating this effectively. Very limited sleep, major news in my family right now. So if y'all would be praying for my little boy Jack. But I'm still here. I'm showing up. Why? Because this is what's required of you. You do what's required of you. My family looks to me to be an example, right? And so after I get out of here, I'm running back to the house to be with my family. But I want to tell you guys this. It's very, very important that you understand what we're talking about here, okay? It's a skill with people. It's a commitment to a context to where you can learn to invite, okay? You can learn to invite, and you know the difference between the presentation. The invitation is different than the presentation. So don't get into all this crazy stuff, all right? Get the invitation. He says, get the commitment, right? It's like the preview, the trailer for a movie. Somebody don't say, hey, let's go watch this movie. Well, what you typically do is you go look at the trailer of the movie and you see if it's something that's even remotely interesting for you to check out, right? You watch the trailer, that gives you just enough. It's an invitation, and then you go and you watch the movie, right? It's the preview, all right? He says, too many of you are trying to help them watch the movie in the first 10 seconds that you're talking to them. That repels people. It seems desperate, right? Just invite them. Now, I'm going to help you, all right? This is the last thing I want to tell you. What's the number one objection you get when you ask somebody to look at your business? Let me tell you what it is, all right? He says the number one objection you're going to get when you ask somebody to look at your business is they're going to tell you they're busy. It's always timing. People don't have the heart to actually tell you, I'm not interested. I think you're a loser. Or no, you're crazy, right? I'm better than that. They don't just come out and tell you. They don't operate in full disclosure. They just throw you this line of, hey, I'm busy. It's not a good time, or whatever it is. Busy right now. He said, most people say, he says, in fact, the statistics tell us that 93% of the objections people get when they're getting people to look at a business is timing. It's always timing. Timing is their cop-out, right? He says, isn't that fascinating? Isn't that amazing? You can distill down to number one objection that people give back. He says, isn't it wild that that's such a consistent objection? We're just too busy right now. The timing doesn't work. I can't make it work. We're busy. And they believe that if they continue to tell you that you'll just give up and you're going to go away, which most people do. So that's the number one objection we get to people looking at our business. So the invitation versus, right, the presentation. People always say, now's not a good time. I'm too busy. Okay, so if that's what we're dealing with, all right, what's the number one mistake that people make? All right, so the number one mistake that people make is that oftentimes you're trying to present when you should be inviting. Okay, invite to take a look. That's it. Invite to get a commitment. Invite and let the presentation happen at another time. The number one thing they're giving you is timing, So how do you overcome that? Well, it's very simple. You remove it. Okay? You don't argue with them, right? It's sales 101. Agree. Hey, I understand you're very busy right now. I agree. Hey, I agree with you. Terrible timing for you right now. Absolutely understand. However, right? And you transition and you pivot. It's a natural flowing conversation. I'm in agreement with you. I agree. However, and then I invite and I'm looking to do one thing, okay? If you've got a warm market, okay, so do your recruits. The first thing, okay, I'm going to read this and try not to comment on it, but I'm just going to read it, okay? This is what Ed said. These are my notes from Ed. He says, here's how you overcome that. He says, you have a warm market of people, and so do your new recruits. The first thing that they should be asking people, in my humble opinion, and he said, I know a lot about this, so let's say your presentations, I'm just going to make this up, are Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. It doesn't matter actually when they are. You could be running them 24/7. All right? It doesn't matter. But you're still going to ask for a time. The number one opening question when prospecting should be, right, when someone's in their warm market, calling a warm market, is the number one question should be, right? Hold on. I really appreciate y'all's patience. Okay, found it. So thank y'all for your patience. So the number one question you should be asking of your warm market, if you're working in your warm market, is very simple. Shoot them a text message, okay? Give them a phone call. Keep it very simple. Hey, what do you got going on at 6 p.m. Tuesday, right? Whatever, okay? Whatever time it is. It's inviting and removing the objection. What do you got going on at this time, this day? And if they respond with nothing, right, or even if they're booked then, right, they say, maybe they say, oh, I got a kid's soccer game. Okay, cool. What are you doing Wednesday at whatever time? All right. Oh, we're open then. They're going to ask the logical question, why? What's up? Right? You just got to get them to tell you when they're available. It's just appointment setting if we're really coming down to it. Why? What's up? So invite, then present. Okay? So if we take away that big objection, right, and we get the opportunity to where we carve out a time to present, okay, that's when things start to become efficient. That's when things start to move. That's when things start to progress. Okay? So it's going to be hard for them to object to what you have to share with them beyond the time because you just found the time. All right? So it's invitation to look at something. All right? And if you begin with that and your recruits begin with that, it's going to be difficult for them to object to something as simple as a Zoom link, right? A Zoom link. That's nothing. That's not outrageous, all right? So you've taken away their objection and established a time that works for them, okay? And it's not bait and switch. It's an open question, right? It's an open question. What you got going on at this time, this day? It's not bait and switch. It's completely different, all right? We're not promising them something and delivering something else. That's bait and switch marketing. That's nonsense. We're an open question with, hey, what you got going on Friday at 8 p.m.? And they go, I'm free. What's up? Or they go, hey, I'm tied up. What's going on? Hey, no worries. What about Saturday at 3 p.m.? Oh, I'm free then. Wow, what's up? This is normal conversation. It's not weird to ask somebody, hey, what you got going on? Hey, what you got going on? That's normal. So we should lead with that in our warm market. Hey, what you got going on? Because we're just looking for an opportunity to engage that context, that conversation. All right. Let's see here. All right, I think this is important. Something Ed wanted to really drive home. He says, and the last thing I'm going to tell you guys is this. Remember, you were born to do something great with your life, and you know it. That's why you're on this call. That's why you're in this industry. You know intuitively there's something that I'm supposed to do, something great with my life. I'm born to do more. There's more in me. My inner being is vibrating at such a point. God is calling me to something bigger in my life. I know it. I feel it. It's in me. I can't articulate it. I don't even know if there's words for it, but I feel like in my heart when I get quiet to myself, I know that I'm capable of more. I know that I am. Guys, that's what drives me. I can't put it into words. I literally got just terrible news just now, and to what extent I don't know, but regardless, in and of itself, it's terrible news. But I wanted to be faithful to finish what I set out to do, which was produce this video for you. And this is kind of, not a clean delivery, but I believe it's helpful because the mindset is everything. You got to master your thoughts. You got to be in control of your attitude and your actions. And that's this deep conviction that comes from within you. Like Ed said, when you get quiet, can you practice self-awareness? Can you know there's something in there? There's inspiration, that spirit that God's put inside of you, that there's more that you could do to give a value, create, grow, and expand. To be someone that you know you're supposed to be. I know that I'm called to be of service. I know that I'm called to be of service to others. Therefore, I pursue it with everything I have in me. All right? These conversations about recruiting, and what we're really doing is exposing opportunity to people. We're educating people. We're taking them from they don't know to they do know. They didn't know we existed. Now they do know we exist. It's getting out of that place of obscurity we talked about. All right. And it's carrying this clarity, this conviction, and this compassion that when I look at someone, and if it's just something there's an alignment, there's a drawing to, I'll look at them and I can literally say, like, hey, they don't know it yet, but they want what I got. They don't know it yet, but I know it. I want to get in that place to where I see more people operating from this type of clarity, this type of conviction, this type of compassion to make a difference in people's lives. And you only manifest that, you only walk that thing out, is if you get an agreement. You get an agreement with the fact that people being a part of this culture, people being a part of this community, people being involved with what we do will in some way, guaranteed, impact them in a positive way, will make them better, will add value to their life. Maybe they won't go out and make $1 million, but man, could we help somebody make an extra $1,000 a month? Man, could we help somebody make an extra $10,000 a month? Man, can we help somebody get out of a negative, self-sabotaging mindset to where they begin to do the right things and make the right associations and grow themselves, work on themselves, and build a beautiful life that produces children and generations to come? Can we just all come into an agreement that it's a good thing to be around good people in pursuit of something noble? Okay? So get that clarity, get that conviction, get that compassion. There's a lot of other things I want to teach you, and unfortunately I'm gonna have to cut this conversation off with what I wanted to share with you with Ed. I'll get into the other things here for the next day's videos, but I love you guys, and I'm so freaking appreciative of the opportunity to try to make just a little bit of way to somehow add value to your lives so that you guys could go out and absolutely kill it and become incredible servant leaders. Because those are the people that change the world. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to see my family. AMG, let's freaking go. Break agreements with lack. Break agreements with limiting beliefs. Go out there and crush it. Know that that thing inside of you, that spirit inside of you, that life force inside, know that it's there calling you to expand and increase your influence so that you could make a difference in the lives of those around you. All right? I love you guys. AMG, let's blow this thing up. We'll talk to you soon.